So my name is Chris Lynch. I'm the Deputy CEO and Director of Policy from Alzheimer's Disease International. And today I am briefly interviewing Carmel Geoghegan from Ireland, a former carer and a wonderful advocate. Carmel, let me ask you a number of short questions. Following your mum's diagnosis, what kind of post-diagnosis support were you offered?
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me. Absolutely none. We left the urologist office with a name. Mum had mixed dementia and no signposting, no leaflet, no nothing.
Oh, that's terrible to hear. And so how did you feel when you actually left the office?
We were actually delighted because we had a name on what was wrong with Mom. We didn't understand what was wrong with her. We'd never heard of dementia, though. We had heard of Alzheimer's, but had no experience. So to actually come home with a name, my sister went off to Cork, I came home with Mom, and just, I suppose, we thought, oh yeah, we know what's wrong with you. It's not anything, as serious as cancer. That's what it was at the time. She doesn't have a brain tumor or anything. So delighted with myself. But then I suppose after a few weeks and we're trying to cope, the penny dropped and thought, oh, this isn't as easy as it seemed.
You realize the seriousness and the gravitas of it and why that moment of disclosure really does need much better signposting. But as that moved on, Carmel, as you began to understand it more, and did you go through a process with the healthcare system where they put any kind of care plan in place for you and your mum? And were you involved in that process?
No, really. We were linked in with the older support service in the hospital in Galway, and the GP and all the clinicians that we came across, really, they were putting everything down to the aging process. And I just refused to accept that. Now, I still didn't know anything. And to be honest, this was in 2011. I wasn't into Googling things. It wouldn't even have dawned on me. I wasn't on social media. So I was completely isolated. And there were no, so actually how I started was I heard of a course coming up in university in Galway on social gerontology, and that's where my information started to come from.
And at that point, or at any point, were you directed to the Alzheimer Association or the Society in Ireland or any other support groups?
No, there was a support group, another Alzheimer's Society in the west of Ireland, a small Western Alzheimer's, a small group that were providing respite, and they would give some financial support to families, and you found your own carer then. Now, I used, when my dad this was before Mom got her diagnosis, I actually used the respite facility there while I was getting Dad home from hospital and getting the hospital beds moved. But I realized that was probably one of my bigger mistakes, putting Mom there the first time, because it was too advanced. Everybody there was at the advanced stage, and Mom got so distraught, and probably, the way there's stages, that definitely brought her up to another level there.
Yeah. Actually, I suppose you're hinting at here as well is, because I'm interested in the support of you as a carer, but also the education of you as a carer as well. What was that like initially, and has that changed?
Definitely, I think there's this perception of the carer, and it's still there, but changing as we speak more to medical students and that, and try and just bring it to them that a carer can be anybody. They have this thing that if you're caring and you've left work or whatever, that your maybe intelligence level isn't as high as they expect. And I'm trying to get the picture across that anybody can become a carer. It was me then, it can be you tomorrow. not just that, now I realize that it can be me with the diagnosis tomorrow, or you can be working with somebody who may be really conscious and know that something is wrong, but they're afraid to get a diagnosis. So that is slowly changing, and probably going back now, I see one of the main things that would have helped me, and it was a simple thing, if I had been given a photograph or a picture of the brain and the different compartments and what different dementias affected and what were the like behavioral problems.
A good kind of understanding of the different diseases that are part of this condition. Like we've built up a better understanding and knowledge of other diseases, and obviously you mentioned cancer. But looking back on that, let me ask you a final question. What would you change in terms of your experience? And the reason I'm asking is, what would be good practice in terms of that post-diagnosis support?
Well, I think probably one of the main things would have been having a caseworker or a link worker, somebody that you had one point of contact, that you left with your diagnosis and you were given some number to contact, and there was somebody dedicated to your case, and that they put you then, whether it was for counseling or services, supports, what was in your community, because every community is different. And mainly, I suppose, I think the social aspect is forgotten about, and that's probably one of the main things, and social prescribing. Really, medication was the thing that was being pushed all the time, and we didn't want it. We wanted social interaction, and we wanted to be still part of our community, which we did, but it was just maybe some of the groups which didn't understand that we could still be part of it.
Yeah. And I think that message, that there is so much you can do, which is not on the medical side, in terms of post-diagnosis support, is something, if I'm interpreting you correctly, that needs to come across more strongly.
Yeah, nutrition is so important. And these were things that I probably researched myself with Mom, because her diet hadn't been good. So I had her on a really strict, good diet, and I could see her brain reaction was much better. And also I took her for physio privately, because the healthcare system said it was aging. There was no point really in having physio. So I thought, no, you're wrong. This, you have to keep, plus it's cost effective if you keep the person mobile.
Yeah.
But so it's educating people, and it's having joined up thinking and seeing the bigger picture.
Great. And having somebody or something that can help you navigate from that moment after you get the diagnosis.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's somebody there that you can connect with, not getting a different person every time, being passed from one service to another, which is really frustrating. And the actual medical teams only contacting you once every 6 months to see how are you getting on. And the one other thing at the end is end of life care, which was denied to Mom because they said she didn't have cancer. But end of life care is for all of us.
Yes,
it doesn't matter what terminal illness you have. It's making sure that you have it comfortable and that you're pain free. Yeah,
absolutely. Fair care across the board, regardless of what the condition is. Absolutely. But Carmel, thank you so much. Really interesting to capture your thoughts on post-diagnosis.